The story begins inside a dark and creepy room. A camera is recording, and a man named Jay is seen crying, covered in blood, with a metal collar around his neck. Suddenly, a strange robotic voice speaks. It's the host of the game. The host congratulates Jay for winning, but says the final round is about to begin. 3 boxes are placed in front of him, and he must pick one. Jay opens a box and finds a gun inside. The host calmly says, "Thanks for playing," and pulls a wire. A small toy moves, and suddenly the gun fires. Jay falls to the ground, dead. On the other side, the scene shifts to 4 friends arriving at a summer house. The house belongs to James's uncle, who had ended his life after losing everything because of his wife. The friends are there to celebrate Anita's birthday. They laugh, dance, and enjoy all day. By evening, James suggests playing Truth or Dare. Anita doesn't trust James's questions, so she skips her turn. Melissa chooses Dare, and James dares her to kiss Anita. Melissa refuses, saying, "Don't make fun of my choices." But James insists, saying, "My house, my rules." Anita agrees, so the 2 girls share a quick, awkward kiss. But suddenly, James tries to kiss Melissa himself. Shocked, she pushes him away. Angry, James yells that no one is taking the game seriously. Just then, strange noises come from outside. Matthew says it's probably nothing, but the sound comes again, louder this time. Everyone turns toward the door, scared. James takes the chance to prank them and shouts, making everyone jump. Anita says they should call the police, but James grabs a stick and decides to check outside. As he steps out, his friends turn off the lights as a joke. James uses his phone's flashlight to look around, and then a scream is heard. But it's just Melissa trying to scare him back. While looking around, James notices something odd in the bushes, a camera. He picks it up and brings it inside. Everyone is shocked when they realize there's a tape inside it. James wants to play the tape, but Matthew says it's too creepy and they should stop. Anita agrees and says bringing that thing inside was a mistake. James reminds her that it's his house. Angry, Anita shouts, "No one here even likes you, James. Everyone is with you only because of your money." She then grabs the tape and breaks it in half. James loses his temper and starts shouting at everyone. He even insults Anita's sick mother, saying cruel things. Everyone gets upset and quietly goes back to their rooms. Late at night, a mysterious person sneaks into the house. Meanwhile, James is taking a shower when suddenly the bathroom door opens on its own. Startled, he grabs a razor to protect himself. But when he turns around, it's only Melissa standing there. She smiles and flirts a little, saying maybe she's interested in him. James drops his towel on purpose to tease her. But Melissa bursts out laughing, saying it was just a prank. At the same time, Matthew is cleaning the living room when he notices a shadow moving in the next room. When he turns to look, it disappears. He then sees a red light blinking on the camera they found earlier. Feeling uneasy, he takes the trash outside, but when he returns, he finds Anita lying unconscious on the floor. Terrified, he runs to Melissa's room, but she's also passed out. Matthew panics and starts calling for James. But before he can reach him, a mysterious figure appears from behind and injects something into Matthew's neck. His vision blurs. He stumbles down the stairs, and everything fades to black as he collapses. After some time, all 4 friends slowly wake up, only to realize they are chained to the wall. A camera is placed in front of them, recording everything. A man whistles as he walks around the room, adjusting things like he's setting up a stage, and then quietly leaves. James tries to break the chains, but it's useless. Meanwhile, the masked man sits in another room, watching them through security cameras and smiling. Moments later, he walks back into the room. Everyone can now see his face clearly. It's Barry, the creepy masked host. He presses a button, and the chains tighten painfully. Then he starts a countdown, saying, "The show is about to begin." Suddenly, the lights turn on, revealing a few mannequins in front of them, dressed like a fake audience. From the speakers, sounds of clapping and music play. Barry begins introducing each friend like they're contestants in a show, even revealing personal secrets about their lives. Anita looks shocked. How does he know all this? Barry then announces, "Let's play the first game. Rock, paper, scissors." Everyone looks confused. He gets angry and says, "Fine, commercial break," before storming out. In his dressing room, Barry opens a drawer and picks up a pair of scissors, but accidentally cuts his own hand. Back in the room, James laughs nervously and says this must be a reality show prank. But Anita argues, if this was a show, they wouldn't have drugged us. James insists someone must have planned it, and Anita reminds him, only you could afford a setup like this. Barry returns, his hand now bandaged. He forces everyone to step forward and play the game again. When the results get messed up, he says, "Okay, the girls will play first." Looking at Anita, he says, "If you win, you can choose your reward." Anita picks paper, and Barry pretends to shoot her with his fingers, saying, "Bang!" Then he laughs and admits his move was wrong. "You win," he says. "Now choose your prize. Scissors or shoot?" Anita chooses shoot. But when it's Melissa's turn, Barry twists the rules. He claims she picked paper in the first round. Then, in a chilling voice, he says, "Open your mouth." Before anyone can react, he takes a card and cuts the corners of her lips. Melissa screams in pain, and the others stare in complete shock and horror. Barry starts the next round of the game. Matthew picks rock, so Barry grabs a real stone and hits him hard on the head, leaving him bleeding and in pain. Then he walks toward James and, without warning, cuts off one of his fingers with the scissors. Screaming fills the room. Barry then points a gun at Anita, but when he pulls the trigger, it only shoots out a burst of fire, not a bullet. Furious, he yanks Anita's chain and throws her against the wall, knocking her unconscious. A few hours later, Anita wakes up. The group starts arguing again. James blames everyone for their situation. Just then, Barry returns and shows them a horrifying new device hanging on the wall, the Wheel of Pain. Everyone begs him to stop, but Barry smirks and says, "All right, let's play a bonus round. Confess your biggest sin, and you'll win either freedom or death." He starts with James. James stays silent, so Barry strikes him on the back with a metal rod. In pain, James finally confesses that years ago he caused a car accident. His father took the blame, but someone in the other car died because James never called an ambulance. Barry asks for the victim's name. Shaking, James says, "Ashley." Then Barry points his stick at Anita, saying, "Your turn." Terrified, Anita admits that to pay for her mother's surgery, she once created an adult website. She says she deeply regrets it. Next, Matthew speaks up. He confesses that he used to scam people online, even spying on his friends' internet activities. Once, he tricked an old couple and stole their identity, but accidentally sent all the stolen money to a blockchain account he couldn't access. Finally, Melissa reveals her secret. She worked at a dog shelter that was short on money, so she secretly sold a few pit bulls to a dogfighting gang. She tries to justify it, saying they were going to be killed anyway, but tears fill her eyes as she says it. Barry listens silently, then smiles. He tells Melissa to spin the Wheel of Pain. The wheel stops, and a new challenge appears. He hands her a viewfinder, the toy that shows pictures when you look inside. Barry explains the task. Melissa will see several images, and if she can name the 3 famous cities shown in them, she wins the round. Melissa looks into the viewfinder and confidently says, "Paris." Correct. She moves to the second picture and says, "New York." Also right. But as she names it, a needle placed nearby slowly inches toward her. On the third picture, she hesitates and can't recognize it. Barry's voice turns cold. "Time for the punishment." The others beg him to give her another chance. Reluctantly, he allows it. Melissa looks again and presses the button, but the needle suddenly shoots forward and stabs into her eye. She screams in terrible pain. The friends freeze, shocked and terrified. No one volunteers to spin the wheel after that. Barry spins it himself for James, and the wheel lands on James's favorite task. He brings out a heavy drill and says with a cruel smile, "I'll chase you with this." Then, as if offering a twisted mercy, he suggests a coin toss. The coin flips, and James wins. Barry hands the drill to Anita and commands in a flat voice, "Put this in Matthew's ear. If you don't, I'll kill Melissa and James." Silence swallows the room. Barry begins a cold countdown. 3, 2, 1. Terrified and desperate, Anita turns the drill on and forces it into Matthew's ear. Matthew screams, a raw, horrible sound that echoes through the room. Anita drops the drill in panic. It breaks. Barry screams that she broke the rules. He then takes the tape from the camera, walks back to his dressing room, and casually writes Matthew on it before placing it on a pile of other old tapes. Evidence of more victims, more horrors. A few moments later, Barry returns to the room and says, "Now the next round will be a little different." Suddenly, a screen lights up with the words, "Wild Card." Barry grins and says, "Let's see who survives this time." He explains the rules. 1 question, everyone must answer. The one with the highest score wins. He says he asked 100 people 1 question, which body part hurts the most? Each of them must guess the top answers. Matthew says head, Melissa says knee, and Anita answers stomach. Meanwhile, James tries to reach Barry, hoping to attack him, but his chain pulls tight and throws him to the ground. Barry laughs and says his own answer. Neck, adding coldly, because all of you are a pain in mine. Barry then pulls out the real survey results. Number 1, head. Number 2, muscles. Number 3, neck. Number 4, legs. Matthew notices something strange. The numbers don't add up to 100. Barry looks through another paper and finds one more answer. Stomach, which actually has more votes than muscles. That means Melissa has lost the round. Barry walks toward a huge hydraulic press machine. He places Melissa beneath it and switches it on. The heavy metal plate slowly moves down, touching her head, but stops just in time. Barry smiles wickedly and says, "Bonus round. Does anyone want to take Melissa's place?" Everyone stays silent, refusing to move. Melissa cries, begging for her life, but Barry shows no mercy. He presses the button again, and the machine crushes her head instantly. Blood splatters across the floor and walls. Barry laughs, dragging her body away, leaving a trail of blood behind. He goes back to his dressing room, removes his mask, and starts doing the same motion he did to Melissa's mouth, stretching his own lips. His face is covered in old scars, proof that this isn't the first time he's done something like this. Meanwhile, James keeps pulling on his chains when suddenly he hears a strange sound coming from somewhere in the room. A few moments later, Barry comes back carrying a TV. The screen turns on, showing Rebecca tied to a chair, screaming in pain as the same kind of torture continues. Then Barry sits in front of Anita and slowly removes his mask. Anita, trembling, says softly, "I'm sorry," but Barry doesn't respond. He just puts the mask back on. On the screen, Rebecca is brutally killed with a chainsaw. Everyone freezes in shock. As Barry leaves the room, James whispers, "That man looks familiar." Anita realizes Matthew must have found out she lied about working for an adult website. Matthew confirms it and tells James that Anita actually used to work for the Barry Miller Show. James gets angry and yells, "So all this happened because of you?" He demands answers, and Anita finally starts talking. Anita reveals that Barry Miller used to be a very famous game show host, and she worked on his production team. One day, their team was watching the news about another TV host who was cleared of abuse charges because all the victims had taken back their statements. Rebecca was furious. Anita had said maybe the man was innocent, but Jake claimed one of the victims got a new car, meaning they were all paid off to stay silent. Rebecca angrily said that TV networks protect their image by covering up the crimes of old, creepy men. She had even heard that Barry was a predator like that. Capturing him could earn a huge reward, enough for Anita to afford her mother's surgery. Anita explains that Barry once touched her inappropriately, and when she refused his advances, she lost her chance for promotion. But Jake didn't believe her. He thought Anita was lying. Right then, Barry walked into the room with a cake, smiling, and told everyone to sing Happy Birthday for Anita. The team awkwardly joined in. When Barry placed his hand on Anita's shoulder, Rebecca snapped. She shouted, "Stop touching women like that." The room went silent. A few days later, Rebecca and Jake convinced Anita to file a complaint with HR. Anita gathered courage and did it, but instead of punishing Barry, the company offered her a large amount of money and made her sign a non-disclosure agreement, then fired her immediately. In the present timeline, Barry walks back into the room. James panics and begs for mercy, saying Barry should only punish Anita, not him. He even offers to use his family's money and his father's contacts to help Barry get his show back, if Barry agrees to let him go. Barry smiles darkly and says, "I'll send your head to your father myself." Then he pulls out the severed head of the company lawyer and turns to Anita, forcing her to eat the man's tongue. Meanwhile, James keeps tugging on his chain until finally he manages to rip it out from the wall. Suddenly, he charges at Barry, knocking him down. Just as he's about to hit Barry with the chain, Barry presses a hidden button. The chain emits a powerful electric shock, stunning James, Anita, and Matthew. All three fall unconscious. When they wake up, they're strapped to metal tables, each with strange marks carved into their stomachs. Barry announces the next game. Incision, decision. He throws a blade toward Anita, then walks into his dressing room. His voice echoes through the speakers, explaining that 2 keys are hidden inside their bodies, one in Matthew and one in James. Only one key is needed to escape. Anita refuses to play, saying she can't do it, but Barry threatens that if she doesn't, they'll all starve to death. James tries to bribe her, promising money if she spares him. It looks like Anita's about to cut Matthew open, but in a shocking twist, she turns and stabs James instead. She reaches inside him as he screams in unbearable pain. After a moment of horror, she pulls out the key, and James dies on the table. Anita rushes to the door, but it doesn't open. Barry laughs and says, "The door is magnetically sealed." Then he announces the final round. Last man standing. He frees Matthew, giving him a chance to fight. Matthew picks up the blade and looks at Anita. "We can't both leave," he says softly. "There can only be one winner." He tells her he loves her, kisses her cheek, and makes her promise she'll survive. Then before she can stop him, Matthew drives the blade into himself. Barry claps slowly, declaring Anita the winner, and releases sleeping gas into the room, leaving her unconscious as everything fades to black. When Anita wakes up, the room is completely empty. No bodies, no blood, just silence. The door is open. She slowly walks into the dressing room and finds piles of tapes, all labeled with the names of previous victims. She quickly grabs a card from the table and hides it. Then she goes to the bathroom to wash all the blood off her body. In a small room nearby, she notices a picture of Barry with his wife, along with creepy drawings on the walls. Anita continues down the corridor and finds Barry sitting in another room. He calmly says, "Now we'll play the final game." Trembling, Anita sits in front of 3 boxes. Suddenly, Barry activates a confetti bomb, startling her. She hesitates, thinking this might be it, and Barry coldly says, "Barry is dead because you killed him." Anita considers revealing the truth, that she had lied, but Barry doesn't react. He glares and threatens her. "Pick a box, or I'll kill your mother." Scared, Anita pulls a string and opens a box. There's a cake inside. Barry smiles and starts singing "Happy Birthday." Anita quickly grabs the card she stole and strikes Barry in the face, then tries to escape, but Barry activates his taser, knocking her down. He tells her, "Every scar on my face is a symbol of a murder, and now you've made one for yourself." Barry drags Anita back into the room with chains and places her head on the cake. For a moment, she realizes there's no weapon in the cake. Barry laughs. "Now you can go. And by the way, the cake tastes terrible." Suddenly, Anita's face begins to burn, and her eyes turn red. She screams in pain, "I can't see anything." She tries to run, but her body won't move. She collapses in the corridor, writhing in agony, and dies. Barry calmly sits beside her, humming his show's theme song to the camera. The tape then shows Barry tormenting a talk show host until he admits to abusing women. The company had paid off the victims to keep quiet. Finally, Barry smashes the man with a sledgehammer. The camera slowly zooms out, and the film ends with Barry's crazy, satisfied smile.